spoken to evacuees who have just been going through the worst thing imaginable, losing their home or just the sense of not knowing. Hey everyone, Lauren Negrete here. Today we're exploring Yardie Eugene in Eugene, Oregon.
That went over just to see what this opposing side looks like.
All these proceeds are going back to patient care. Good morning, thank you for joining us, and a very happy Friday to you. The notice period to homeless individuals before officials sweep the area is moving forward. Rain not coming quite yet, but in your midday we are going to have some pretty heavy rainfall. A little walk here and see what's been donated. So things that they need for sure, besides clothes that you can see here, plenty of people picking up the clothes here, but they also need tents and batteries and lanterns and cooking oil and flour. Yeah, she needs tents. So the necessary items are needed. People that were impacted by the worst thing possible. They've lost their homes, so they need things that you wouldn't even think of. This is what the Blue River Post Office looked like prior to the fire, and this is what it looks like now. Yes, they're saying that the goal tonight really is to remember the lives of Michael Brown and Eric Garner, two African-American men killed by police. Ferry Street Village, Tent City, or known to residents as Across the River. The first black neighborhood the county demolished back in 1949 to make room for Ferry Street Bridge. For hole-in-the-wall barbecue, the change means about 75 people can take a seat indoors. Now it's still 6 max to a table inside. If you're outside, it's 8. Ick Meyer's routine for 3 months went from being here at the hospital to calling a hotel home to reduce the risk to her family. Living what you've lived through a year later, would you still want to be a nurse?
Yeah, I wouldn't know what else to do.
With kids back in the classroom, once again, Eugene police are saying people need to look up and pay attention to those school speed limit signs like the one behind me here. Here at Green Hill Humane Society for our Tail-a-thon. With me, I've got Billy Buck-Buck, that is his full name. Right now, Linn County needs just 1,823 more people to get their first dose before the county can move to low risk. Today, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy responded to potential efforts to slow the confirmation process of President Trump's nomination to the Supreme Court. Day today for many McKenzie Valley residents as they'll be escorted through the Holiday Farm fire area to their homes. We have team coverage this afternoon. John Mayer is in the Weather Center tracking rain that's helping firefighters get a handle on things. But first, we go to KVAL's Keely McCormick, who is live near Vida as residents prepare to be escorted in. Keely, how is this all going to work out? More protests and arrests in Louisville overnight, with many people still upset that the officers who returned fire at Breonna Taylor's apartment were not charged in her death. This morning, her family addressed media. A volunteer firefighter, one of the first to arrive at the start of the fire, is being called a hero by a man he rescued during the evacuations. Dogs fill all kinds of first responder roles. They're used to sniff out drugs and explosives, even missing people. But what about the coronavirus? John, we've got a bit of a cool down to kind of look forward to. You know, maybe the cropped jeans to this time.
I mean, where else were we going to go? It couldn't get hotter, right? I mean, we were looking at records.
Oregon,
yeah, there had to be a change.
John, it's actually Mexican Mother's Day today
as
well.
We go.
Yeah,
well,
so
that's exciting.
Yeah, so Feliz el Dia de las Madres. It looks like that sunshine is continuing over from yesterday as well. And check this out. A Turkish jeweler has found the best security guard ever. His cash register is guarded by a staunch, lion-hearted squirrel back up there. But yeah, no, I can't believe he was like kissing him too. Like that's such a friendly squirrel.
Oh my goodness, he's doing well for the jewelry sales as well.
Definitely. He's giving Alvin and the Chipmunks a run for his money, I'd say. Looking like some cloud coverage over Coos Bay remains through the night, seeing that rainfall really come down, hitting that coastline first, and then we'll reap the benefits more into Saturday for us here in the valley areas. But our next weather maker, we're looking at this low pressure system. And today, we're here for the food. Rails on 17th and Willamette. Try to get a little bit of everything in one bite. Okay, here we go.
I cook with my heart, love.
We'll probably leave it in there for 1 more minute.
Is there an official like chef recommendation though? Like you said, obviously you have a few different sides to choose from, but the go-to, like if someone's walking up for the first time, they're thinking, okay, what do I order? You know, they've got like, they're overwhelmed by all these amazing options of great food. What's up?
Packed with spices and, would you believe it, good for you.
It is gluten-free. This is healthy. Can I have more?
Yeah.
What?
You know what? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
With several counties in the state about to be moved to a higher risk level. KVAL's Lauren Negrete is here to tell us about a man who had a successful career at a restaurant. He lost his job and was forced to get creative. Lauren?
Well, David, it's safe to say that Isaiah Martinez is focused on the positive side of the pandemic, having lost his job at Marche and starting his own restaurant on wheels.
I'm bringing the Caribbean to Eugene.
Isaiah Martinez's Yardie Eugene cooks up Creole, Jamaican, Spanish, and West Indian culture.
Curry leaves and a lot of turmeric. It really just started with me wanting to celebrate Black History Month.
It was initially a pop-up at different events and venues. But when Martinez was laid off from Marche, he pivoted.
I didn't really want to initially do a food truck just because that's kind of the assumption for a lot of ethnic foods is like it comes out of a food truck, and I wanted to find a way to celebrate it, so I really wanted to do it in brick and mortar, but I figured the only thing that makes the most sense right now is something that's mobile, something that moves around.
Mobility without the restrictions on restaurants. Martinez hopes to be up and running late May, early June. He's looking near downtown Eugene or the Whitaker areas. You can follow Yardie Eugene on social media.
Welcome back. A special report tonight as Black History Month comes to a close. We take a look at Eugene's own exclusions and later achievements through the eyes of some of the Black community's elders. KVAL's Lauren Negrete joins us live in studio. Lauren, Oregon is not without its own stained past.
No, when Oregon became the 33rd state in 1859, it was the only one with exclusionary laws still in place. And in the 20s, the KKK was a strong force in the state and in Eugene. In the 40s, Black families couldn't even live in Eugene. The Mims family were one of the first Black families here. Their houses were a family home and a safe haven. I also spoke to a University of Oregon graduate who hardly left campus because of racism.
Because it was segregated. We knew that in Eugene. You just knew certain things. Apparently, some people had tried to go and the word refused, and the word gets around.
Ben Johnson attended the University of Oregon in 1949. He was an athlete, one of just 12 Black students total. Johnson says the town wasn't welcoming, so they stayed on campus. Today, the Mims properties on High Street house the local NAACP office. The Mims bought the property in 1948 under the name of CB's sympathetic white employer. That's because Black families weren't allowed to buy in Eugene in the 40s.
This was really a central place for the Black community in many ways.
CB and Annie Mims had 2 children, a daughter, Pearlie Mae, and a son, Willie.
He was one of the original crew of kids who were over at the village across the river.
With no running water or electricity. Ferry Street Village, Tent City, or known to residents as across the river. The first Black neighborhood the county demolished back in 1949 to make room for Ferry Street Bridge.
Crews destroyed all the homes in the area, along with a neighborhood church. They gave no notice to residents, and 2/3 of those residents were Black.
Earlier this month, Lane County adopted an order and resolution to acknowledge the destruction, the racism, and to honor the history of the Ferry Street Village with plans for a memorial at Alton Baker Park. Willie Mims, at a City Club of Eugene meeting in 2016, speaking on the Black experience in Eugene.
But if you walk with me downtown Eugene back then, in the mid-40s, you would have seen 2 of these racist signs displayed in plain view. When there was no signs, the attitude that they represented was present and active throughout the entire community.
African Americans at that time were not welcome in the local hotels and whatnot. So the family, through word of mouth sometimes, would board people.
Including Louis Armstrong, Nat King Cole, Ella Fitzgerald, and UO Black athletes. Richardson says Willie was pivotal in the 60s during the Civil Rights Movement.
Bringing about the idea of the Black Panthers being in town, he was friends and corresponding with those folks.
And was part of local social justice work, like the Congress for Racial Equality. When asked about his hope for a better future.
Well, I have a lot of hope, simply because it can only go up.
And says there must be work on each issue at a time.
And by being active, listening, and become a part of the energy is the only way that we're going to lift the boat. And I think it takes all of us to lift the boat.
Last week, Peace Health and the Eugene Marathon partnered on Strides for Social Justice, a phone app tracing local Black history milestones. Both Ferry Street Village and the Mims House are featured on their downtown tour.
But first, KVAL's Lauren Negrete joins us live from the Oregon Department of Transportation office in Springfield. Lauren, you saw some cleanup crews hard at it today. How long will they likely be out there?
Yes, well, work's been going on for about a month already and will most likely continue through the winter time. I did drive up and saw crews out there removing trees, brush piles, and slash piles. And really what ODOT's trying to do is minimize those chances of debris flows or slides as we get more into those rainy season and the chance for snowfall out there too. And utility companies are working on power poles. Homeowners impacted out there are also needing help with cleanup. I spoke with a couple who's been married for 45 years, and now the home they lived in, the home they raised their children in and grandkids visited, is gone.
Okay, it's the living room, and then there was the kitchen, and then we had a bedroom and a bedroom, a bathroom and a bedroom.
Carolyn and James Broom visit their property 6 miles west of Blue River. Carolyn recalls what it was like to see it for the first time since evacuating.
So much in shock, you almost couldn't cry.
That night of the fire,
the cops came here and said, "Go, leave now."
James didn't want to leave.
Just because we still had animals here. I was trying to get them. They came and told me that I had to leave.
They saved 3 cats, but lost 1.
You can see the glow of the fire right through the trees back here.
Insurance covered a motel stay. Now they're banking on it to cover the house and James's shop.
It was a 12 by 20 foot shop. Lots of tools.
A chimney, equipment, and a washer and dryer. The Brooms are devastated to see that this is what's left of their 4-bedroom family home.
They're waiting to hear back from the county on a right of entry form and are also looking into a private contractor for cleanup. The Oregon Department of Transportation anticipates their own cleanup to last months into winter, when the area could be susceptible to slides without tree roots for soil stability. ODOT urging drivers to be cautious and allow time for flaggers and reduced speed on Highway 126. Meanwhile, the Brooms are looking into getting a modular home.
It's devastating, but we'll rebuild and start over again.
Yeah, right here.
And if you've been impacted, you can find the right of entry forms for help with cleanup on the Lane County's website. And according to the county, that cleanup work should be done by the end of the year. Reporting live in Springfield, I'm Lauren Negrete.